Special place where adults with developmental disabilities can go to find a safe haven, a place of wonderful opportunities and joy. Project ID has social opportunities, meal programs, fun recreation, career development, church services, and the largest Special Olympic team in the state. Project ID is a real community treasure. Please be a volunteer, sponsor a member, or donate what you can to Project ID, Identity Beyond Disability.
Hello, my wonderful, wonderful people. I am still missing you even more, but I am not doing that well with the smoke. How about you guys? So we will struggle on. It's down to unhealthy today, which is much better than hazardous, the air quality. So I'm hoping that by next week, we'll be talking about not the air. I suppose we'll still talk a little bit about the virus, but maybe not. So I am still thinking that we're going to have to get to at least phase 3 with the virus control before we can even think about opening. So in the meantime, if you want me to continue, put on a reply that we should continue story time. Today, I had a very special story to me that we were not able to read today because of some technical difficulties. So I've picked 2 other books, and I have to tell you guys, both of these have, the star is a girl, a woman. But I looked back at our other stories, and our hero has been a guy most of the time. So I think you guys can survive, right? All right. So today, we actually have 2 books, if we have time. So today we're going to start with one called Amazing Grace. There's Grace, kind of. This one looks like it's going to be a toughie. All right. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books or movies or out of her Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. After she heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act out all the parts, but she always gave herself the most exciting part. So there she's hearing a story, and here she's getting ready to make one up. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc. Whoa! I think I'm going to make myself dizzy with this one. So there she's pretending to be Joan of Arc. If you don't know about her, have somebody look it up for you. And she wove a wicked web as Anansi the spider. Got some cool makeup and stuff. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy, and she went exploring for lost kingdoms. I'm having a little trouble here. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. All right, Halloween's coming up. That looks kind of fun, don't you think? She sailed the 7 seas. We did that. She was Hiawatha sitting by the shining big sea water. And she played Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Whoa, there's Mowgli. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with her companion, her trusty cat, and found a city with streets paved in gold. Or she was Aladdin, rubbing his magic lamp to make the genie appear. Pretty cat in that picture. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she might be Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. You ever guys played as a nurse or a doctor? It's pretty fun, huh? One day, Grace's teacher said they would do the play Peter Pan. You know about Peter Pan, right? Grace knew she had wanted to be Peter, that's the boy's name, but Grace kept her hands up. She didn't care if it was a boy's name. You can't be Peter Pan, whispered Natalie. He isn't black. But Grace kept her hand up. All right, said the teacher. Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, and we'll have auditions next week to choose the parts. And she gave them the words to learn for Peter Pan. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. What's the matter? Asked Ma. Raj says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl. Well, that just shows what Raj knows, said Ma. A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to. Grace cheered up, and then later she remembered something else. Natalie said that I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black, she said. Ma looked angry, but later she remembered something else. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana said, it seems like Natalie is another one who doesn't know anything. You can be anything you want to, Grace, if you put your mind to it. On Saturday, Nana told Grace that they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and train into town. Let's see. A bus into town. Nana took Grace to the Grand Theater. The sign outside read, Rosalie Williams in Romeo and Juliet in sparkling lights. Are we going to the ballet? Nana asked Grace. We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture. Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer it said, Stunning New Juliet. Now look at the picture. What is Grace seeing? That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad, said Nana. Her Grammy and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me if I do want tickets to see Rosalie's dance. So this time I said yes. After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything that I want to do, she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was the best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter, she knew exactly what to do, and she knew all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. Then there was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. You were fantastic, whispered Natalie. And I don't know if you know this, but if you ever watch Peter Pan on TV or the movie, it is usually played by a woman, even though it's Peter Pan. Isn't that interesting? The That play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, "I feel as if I could fly all the way home." "You probably could," said Ma. "Yes," said Nana. "If Grace puts her mind to it, she can do anything she wants to do." All right. I hope you enjoyed Amazing Grace, which is two cool words anyway. Amazing and grace, amazing grace, just like we have with God. He provides us with amazing grace. Now, this book's theme was you could do anything that you can imagine. And that's a really important thing that we talk about at the den also. So we're going to go on, and we have another book about Mimi's Tutu, which again will have a lesson about not giving up. This is Mimi's Tutu. Getting the slip covers off so I can turn the pages. When Mimi was born, she followed a long line of boys. The family rejoiced at the arrival of their first little girl, especially the grandmas. All the grandfathers and uncles had been honored with namesakes. There was Jacques, for Mama's father, and Emile, after Mama's brother. Clarence and Forrest were named for Daddy's father and brother. In fact, there were more boys than uncles and grandfathers to name them after. All the big brothers looking at the new baby girl. Now, all the grandmothers and aunts felt that the new baby should be named after them. But there were only two grandmothers and two aunts, and only one very small little girl. That's how she became called Mabui Isine Magnoli Isabella, or, if you spell that out, Mimi for short. So she has four names, and they spell Mimi. From the time that Mimi was a baby, she was always surrounded by music and dancing. This was her family's tradition. Grandpa Jacques beat out the rhythms on the congas, while Uncle Forrest played the cowbell. Aunt Isabel played the claves, and Grandma Essene shook the brightly beaded tambourine. Grandma Mwumi knew the ceremonial dances of Guinea, and Mama was a fine dancer too. When the family all gathered, everyone from the tallest to the smallest grabbed an instrument and danced. Mimi would bob to the beat or shake her rattle in time to the music. As Mimi grew older, Mama decided to return to her African dance class. Mimi loved to go along with Mama. The drums would roll, and all the ladies would leap and sway in their multicolored skirts. The skirts are actually wraps of cloth called lapas, Grandma explained. Lapas, Minnie repeated as she watched from the corner. At all those beautiful ladies dancing and Mimi watching. When Mimi had been especially good, Mama would take her hand and they would dance side by side across the floor. Mimi would whisk her arms up and down and jump and shake. All the other ladies smiled in approval. "Why, what a fine dancer you are, Miss Mimi," one woman said. "You're carrying on your family's tradition." Mimi liked that. One day, a new dancer named Natasha came in class. She brought her daughter Sophie, who looked about Mimi's age. Sophie wore one bright yellow sock and one bright red sock. Her shoes had pink shoelaces. She had blue and yellow ribbons in her hair. And even though there was a special corner of the room where all the children sat, Sophie made it clear that she did not intend to sit there. Sophie was going to dance with her mother during the entire class. But that wasn't all. Sophie reached into her beautifully embroidered bag and pulled out a pale green tutu, just like ballerinas wear. She slipped it over her head and adjusted it at her waist. Oh boy. We know what's coming, right? Everyone stared at Sophie. She was a blaze of color. Look at her in that tutu, laughed Mimi's friend Jennifer. She thinks it's a ballet class. Mimi glanced down at her plain shirt and shorts. She looks very pretty to me, said Mimi. Mimi studied Sophia's every move. She's only fair, Mimi muttered. Sophie leaped by. Mimi muttered, okay, she can dance. When Mama held out her hand for Mimi to join her on the dance floor, Mimi did not feel the usual skip in her heart. But the drums beat away her small thoughts. As her feet stomped in time to music, Mimi began to feel good again. On the drive back home, Mimi sat quietly. Mama eyed her. What's wrong? She asked. Nothing, said Mimi. She was silent for a moment. Did you see that girl Sophie's tutu? Mm-hmm. Sure was nice. Yes, it was, Mama agreed. Some of our best conversations can come in the car, can't it? That evening, everyone noticed that Mimi seemed unhappy. Mimi watched her grandmothers and aunts huddle with Mama, but she didn't even care. She just thought about Sophie and her green tutu. The next Saturday, before Mama and Mimi were supposed to leave for dance class, Mimi found Grandma and her aunt waiting for her in the kitchen. We understand you've been yearning for a tutu, Grandma said. Maybe, whispered Mimi. She stared hard at the floor. Look up, Mimi, said Grandma. In her hands, she held a beautiful lapa. It had special designed belt of beige shells and beads of black and orange and dark green. When it shook, it sounded just like Grandma's skirt, and it was exactly Mimi's size. This is a skirt that suits you, Grandma said. You'll celebrate your ancestry when you dance with this child. That day, Mama told Mimi that she could take the whole dance class. Mimi beamed. She tucked her lapa around her waist and patted her shell belt. Sophie whispered, I love your skirt. Thank you, glowed Mimi. I love your skirt too. The two little girls shared a smile as the drums popped in the air. Mimi sparkled in her lapa and belt, her very own kind of tutu. She danced as if her heart lived in her feet, proud to carry on her family's tradition. All righty. What are the good and bad things about Mimi and her tutu? What's the bad thing that went on with Mimi and her tutu? Well, one of the things I noticed is that Mimi got jealous really fast, didn't she? Instead of being admiring and kind about her friend's tutu, she got jealous because she wanted something special too. One of the good things is that Mimi was able to tell her mama and her family what she was thinking about so that people could help her. And they did, didn't they? They helped make her beautiful in her own special way. And that's important to each of us. All right. Those are the two books that I have for today. And I'm going to make a promise to you because my printer will work. Next week, we are going to have one of my other favorite stories. We did Velveteen Rabbit, and we did, what was the other one that I was such a favorite of? But next week, we are going to do one of my other very favorite books, even now when I'm an adult, and it's called Charlotte's Web. You better be ready because there's a few little sad parts, but mostly it's a happy, wonderful, wonderful book. So be ready
Dixie,
for that. Thank you. Yes.
There's a lot of people that are saying
Yes,
hi
sir.
to you.
Hi, everybody. Let's see. There's my sister, Katie. Hi. Charlotte. Some of you that have been doing Special Olympics for a long, long time remember Charlotte. Hey. Hey, Misty. I miss you guys. Oh, Trisha, I miss you very much. Victor. Hey, Mrs. Dixie, she says. Thank you, Victor. And he wants to know how you guys are doing. Well, I can tell you how I'm doing, Victor, but I can't really tell you how everybody else is because we're still in quarantine. And now we're in smoke quarantine too. So hopefully I got everybody. Anybody else that is commenting, just know that I miss you and hello. And hopefully we will see each other very, very soon. So tune in next week for Charlotte's Web. And don't look ahead to see the book ahead of time. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
There is a special place where adults with developmental disabilities can go to find a safe haven, a place of wonderful opportunities and joy. Project ID has social opportunities, meal programs, fun recreation, career development, church services, and the largest special